Now, as you know, I am home with 3 kids and they've also been adding recipes. So you'll see here they're very generous plan to this afternoon is a lot of sweets baking. So they'll be cooking sweets this afternoon. They're going to do lamingtons, fruit gummies, caramel slice. COVID kilos are coming back. But then I've added what we're cooking, which is the chocolate zucchini. No, that's not what we're doing. We're doing the creamy capsicum and zucchini soup. So this is a cookie dough recipe. So you'll be able to find it on Cookie Dough. And then all we need to do is start cooking. Now, for those who haven't seen the big touch screen, this is one of my favorite things about the TM6 is this massive, large touch screen where you can access Cookie Dough straight on the Thermomix. So it definitely makes it really simple. Like I said, my kids have been on the Thermomix this morning, picking out what they're going to be cooking this afternoon, adding them to the meal plan for today, and checking the ingredients in the cupboard as well. They're 5, 7, and 9. So if they can do it, I reckon most of us can, which is pretty exciting. So obviously, if I was getting this ready, I'd go down here to the ingredient list and I'd probably grab most of those ingredients out to start with. But we're just going to start cooking because I do have it all here ready to go. So we're going to start with our capsicum. So it's asking me to put all the capsicum in, and you want that cut up into chunky sized pieces. So I apologize in advance. I can already hear some fun happening in my yard. Next, we'll pop our lid back on and we're just going to quickly chop that up. So speed 5, 4 seconds. Many yards across the Central Coast in Sydney, I imagine, Amy, many. And it's school holidays, so it's probably happening across New South Wales or everywhere. All right, so we're going to pop that into a bowl and set aside. That is, I didn't get myself a spatula, so I'm just going to grab my spatula and my bowl. I've just got a glass bowl here. How are you going to be able to see that? Just move the thermi back this way a touch. There we go. So that out. So it is, I'll show you what it looks like once I've got it out of the bowl. All well and truly chopped up. Again, we're making a soup, so the consistency, it's going to be a nice blended soup. So I don't think we have to be too pedantic about it. That's our chopped capsicum. So you can see, even though we don't need it to be equally chopped, because of the way the blades work and the inside of the bowl works, it is a nice even chop across all those bits. So for some of you, that will be really important, particularly for some different types of recipes. All right, so what we're going to do next is use our aroma. So for, again, those who don't have a Thermomix, you might not have seen this before, this is where all our steaming happens in our Thermomix. I've also got our splash guard. We won't be using that today, but we generally use that for our high heat function, which is, again, one of the key benefits of our TM6. What have I hidden in here? Oh, and I've got our butterfly whisk for whipping and stirring and doing all the fun things in the bowl. It assists in stirring in some of our recipes, but it also whips our creams into beautiful, fluffy cream and all that sort of stuff as well. All right, so it wants our Varoma dish in place, nice and simple. And then we want our tray in place. We're literally following step-by-step recipe. Isn't that amazing? Next, we want 100 grams of our zucchini. So we are using 300 grams of zucchini in total. Some of it I've cut into chunks like that, but then the others I've cut into 1 centimeter squares. So you can see that there. And I did just peel it because in the picture on the recipe, it looked peeled as well. So I went for the aesthetics and just did it the same as they are. So the idea about this little bit of zucchini we're putting up here is we're actually going to use that as a bit of a decoration. If you weren't that worried about that, which to be honest, when I'm busy and everything, this is probably not something I would bother doing. I just have all the zucchini in the dish. But I think the texture and stuff will add nice consistency and everything. So I'm doing what it says. So we're going to pop that aside. I'll just pop it in the front here. And now we're going to add the rest of the zucchini into the bowl. Throw that all in and chop it all up. Next. Same thing. This time it's actually speed 4 this time. There we go. We're going to put that into the same bowl as we've got the capsicum. You can see there's still a little bit of capsicum left in the bowl too. We'll get that into this same bowl here. If you've just joined us, we're doing the capsicum and zucchini creamy soup on cookie dough. We have just been chopping up the veggies to go in it. And the reason we chop the veggies first, who can tell me? Can anyone tell us in the chat why we would chop it first? Get that all out. Has it come through yet, Nat?
Not yet.
Give it a minute. Next, I'm going to add some oil.
Take a guess if you don't know. Cook quicker?
Yes, that's right, Joe. We're going to get it cooking quicker, which will help us all get lunch or dinner on the table nice and quickly. Now, this does ask for 40 grams of oil. This is where I say you can take control of your kitchen. So I have 26 grams in there. I think that's enough. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now, it's asking for a brown onion. Now, I actually only had half a brown onion and some red onion left. So that's what I'm using. Again, it is up to you. The red onion will make it a little bit sweeter, but I'm okay with it. And then we want 2 garlic cloves. Look at these beautiful big garlic cloves I got the other day. These are nice local grown ones. So I'm only using 2 of those. If they were smaller than that, I would definitely add an extra one because I do love garlic. Like I say, always make it your own. If you're a garlic lover, put more. If you don't like garlic, put less. Yep, there we go. We've got some people loving garlic in the chat there. We'll quickly chop those up. Next, we're going to leave the measuring cup in. They're not even asking us to scrape down the sides or anything. And that's the benefit. Sometimes you'll be asked to put the oil in first and then the garlic and onion, and then you'll chop it. It coats the garlic and onion in the oil, and that way you can quickly go into the next step, which is one of my favorite things. All right, so we've got 5 minutes of sauteing there. Does anyone have any questions so far? Anything there in the chat yet, Nat?
Not yet.
You want to make
the soup?
Yeah. Well, I'd invite you over to have some, but COVID.
Do you have any mini thermoservice to show while you're...
Ooh, I do have a mini thermoserver. Let me grab one. Would you believe it was where it should be, which is a feat in this house. So this is our mini thermoservers. They're on our Host Reward catalogue currently. They finish at the end of this month. So if you're on today and you've invited a couple of friends, you actually can access these through that. There'd be, if there's, by having 2 friends come along to one of our events, you can get a discount, a significant discount on these items. If someone was to purchase, you get a free item, which is pretty exciting. So these are fantastic size for single portions. So if I was doing soup now and I was going to eat this for lunch, I'd pour my portion in here and set it aside until I was ready to eat it. Same goes in the evening. If you're going out to sports and things, you could put a single portion of dinner in there to keep it warm. The best thing about that is as well, when you're using your big thermoserver, which I have just here, these work best when they're mostly full. So, oh, there's our simmering basket. So these work best when they're full. When you've got not a lot of food in here, there's a lot of air in there, and the air cools it down more quickly. So they work best when you've got more in them. So the same goes then for these. So if you've got a portion of one, I'll be using this size rather than the big size to keep it warm. I know there's a few consultants on today, so I'd love you to share in the chat what you use your mini thermoservice for. I also use mine for dips and accompaniments when I'm doing Indian cooking particularly. I do my yogurt things and stuff in here and all the raita, I can't remember how to say the words, but all those little side dishes go into the small servers. So think about what you might use yours for. Both those items are Host Reward items. Once we get into the next lot of cooking, I'll bring up what that looks like, just so you know. Now, the reason for hosting isn't about getting free stuff, although that's pretty cool. The reason we want you to host is so you can learn about the Thermomix more, so that you can understand more of its functionality. If you haven't used your Varoma in a while, I really recommend doing a aroma dish to get a bit more confidence in using that. That's a great way, not only to have more variety in your cooking, but also to maybe do multi-layered cooking where you're getting 2 dishes in one, cooking for tomorrow and cooking for tonight and saving yourself some time, all those sorts of things. We've got a minute and a half. What's happening in the chat? I think I can take a second and look. Hey, Michelle, I didn't know you were here. So I can see, Elise, you've got the question about being dairy-free. So absolutely, I am going to use the cream today because my husband has cream in his coffee every day, and so it's already open, ready to go. But we do often substitute and do things dairy-free, partly because it's kind of a bit cheaper. It's also something I have readily available because I keep it in a can in the cupboard. And then when I do open a tin, I'll freeze it in portions so that I've always got it in the freezer as well, so that you're not wasting it in the fridge when you forget that it's there. But because this is already open, I figure I might as well just use this today. But absolutely, coconut cream would work. You could even omit the cream altogether. It just doesn't give it a little bit more thickness and that consistency. You could also use a few cashews or something like that too if you're not having problems with nuts in your house. So they will help as well. Just going to mute for 1 second. Sorry, I thought I could hear crying, but what I thought was crying was actually laughing. So let's just take that as a win for the day. So I would throw the cashews in at the end after you've done the cooking, before you're going to blitz the soup. So before it gets blended, put them in there and they'll blend with it and they'll blend down. We do the same thing in, it's another dish we do that in. Is it butter chicken? Someone will remind me, there's another dish we do that in as well. All right.
Chicken tikka, I think, maybe?
Yeah, maybe the chicken tikka.
Or korma, Natfilo says korma. So it's one of those.
Yeah.
Chicken tikka or korma.
So now we're going to add back in those chopped veggies. So the capsicum and zucchini are going back in now. I wonder when Zoom are going to come up with that smellogram, because the onion and garlic just smells so delicious, sauteed off. Before I had my Thermomix, I didn't even bother with that step when it came to a recipe. I just throw it in when I threw everything else in, and it just adds to that depth of flavour. So if you're like me, you're probably getting a lot more flavour in your food with your Thermomix now. All right, lid goes back on. We're just going to get that bit of zucchini there. Next. And we're just going to quickly cook that now for 5 minutes. Excellent. Okay, so that's just done its first 5 minutes of cooking to get the juices going in there. I'll just show you what it looks like. It's so beautiful and red. There you go. Put that zucchini throughout as well. And now we need to put our stock in. Who here, obviously there's lots of people I've seen who have their Thermomix, who still has veggie stock in their fridge or freezer? And let us know where you're storing it. If you don't, I'd love to know why. This here I would call liquid gold. So if you're currently cooking recipes that ask for stock, especially if you're buying liquid stock, you're paying for a lot of water. Now, if you aren't making it, means you're probably buying something. You could be buying the powder or the cubes. It depends on what's important to you, but there are a lot of additives and preservatives and those things to keep them how they are kept in that way. Our preservative in this is the salt. There is definitely salt in the other stocks as well. There's actually more salt in the stock you buy from the shops than the one you make in here. We often hear people say, oh, it's so salty. That's because you're not supposed to eat it straight. It's supposed to go through your food and flavour your food. If you still find it's too salty when you make it to how it is and you put it in the fridge and you put it in a dish and then it becomes too salty for you, I would recommend then reducing the salt in this, but keep in mind it means it won't keep as long in the fridge because it doesn't have the same preservative function. The other thing too is also consider the other ingredients you've popped in. So when a recipe asks for butter, it actually generally is asking for unsalted butter, because if you use salted butter and then add a veggie stock, you might be adding a little bit of extra. So that might be why things are turning out a bit more salty. So I keep mine in the freezer. And the reason I do that is because it just makes it last a little bit longer. And whenever I make my stock, I tend to make a double batch because I kind of forget about it and then go, oh, I need stock. I open my freezer up and find all the odds and ends of the veggies. So like these tops of my capsicums. Now, I might still eat these yet. They're still in reasonable condition, but I might forget about them also. And then I'll throw them in the freezer ready for the stock when they're ready to go. So just a couple of quick tips on the stock there. Now, cayenne pepper, you can leave this out if you choose to. I'm going to put it in today because I've resigned myself to the fact that the kids just aren't eating anything I cook lately, and I want to enjoy a bit of cayenne pepper. You could also probably sprinkle that onto your serving when you're about to eat it. So I've only put a tiny bit in. I've got one child who'll be able to pick that from a mile away though. All right, cayenne's in, and then we want some water. If you can hear the screaming, it's actually still fun screaming. All right, water goes in.
I'm surprised I haven't wanted to help, Hannah.
Well, so I did, there's a bribery in my, oops, I've just gone over. In my challenge today, so I'm doing a treasure hunt for them. They had a treasure hunt all day. And the one they're doing at the moment is 30 minutes of outdoor exercise, gets them 20 minutes on the iPad. So I suspect that's why I'm not hearing from them. Now I have gone over with the water, but that's not a real big deal. It will mean my soup is slightly more liquidy. If I'd gone significantly over, I probably would try and take a little bit out, but it's only 40 grams. So not too worried about that. And we want our lid on again. Did I miss something? Yeah, okay, good. It's easy to skip a step, so just go back and check that you haven't. All right, so that's now cooking for 10 minutes. Cook away. Put that stock over there. I'd love to hear now, what if you weren't having to stand in your kitchen, because I don't have to stand here except I'm talking to you, what would you be doing now? What would you be getting done in your home, with your family, having a rest? What would you be doing? Pop that in the chat. I can tell you what I'd be doing. I'd be cleaning up my mess. Pop it over there. The dishwasher's right behind me, so I would just start throwing everything in the dishwasher. Enjoy a glass of wine, Kira. I choose sometimes to partake in a glass of wine. That might not be a bad choice. Just going to clean my mess up. Yeah, always tidying up the mess. Yeah, washing and cleaning. Bathing the kids and drinking wine, not at the same time. I like that definition. Not happening at the same time. Excellent. All right, I can hear it's about to be finished this step, and then we're going to do our last step, which is steaming these bits of zucchini. Oh, it smells so yummy. Place aroma on the top. So we take our measuring cup off. I'll better just change the view back so you can see me properly. Okay, so I've taken the measuring cup off the top. That's going to allow the steam to get through onto my varoma. I need my varoma lid. Goes on the top there. Sorry, I'm just going to click that on there. And then next, and we're just going to cook that for 5 minutes. So we're just going to steam that zucchini that's on top there. That's going to be our garnish. While that's happening, I'll get myself a bowl. Ta-da! Ready to serve myself. Right. So 5 minutes. I couldn't have planned that better if I tried. The thermomix mix is finished. Let me take you back over to the other screen. Play spotlight. There we go. Over here, we've steamed those pieces, so I will take this off. Now, for those who may not know this, your lid of your varoma acts as a trivet to your varoma dish. So you want to take the lid off, making sure the steam is released away from your face, so that you're not giving yourself a facial, and then with very hot steam. And then take your dish off and place it on that. It means you keep your bench nice and tidy, and then you've got those things there. So I'm just going to pop that out of the way over there. And pop our measuring cup in. So I'll show you what it looks like now. For those who like a bit of a chunkier soup, you could probably leave it as it is now. Can you see that on the screen there? Yep. Oh, that's really good for arms that
Looks
did personal
delicious.
training. Excellent.
Your muscles.
Yeah, I did personal training this morning, so I'm like, oh, that's 2 liters of soup. Yeah, you could definitely eat it, but nice chunky. It'd be like a veggie sort of soup, but we're obviously going to follow the recipe because that's what I'm told to do, and I'm going to do it this way. So some key things about the Thermomix. When these lights go red, it means everything in the bowl is greater than 60 degrees, and that's a safety feature to make sure we're keeping you safe and cooking safely. And that's why I'm confident to let my kids do their cooking with it, because I know that they have been trained to follow the safety instructions. There's lots of inbuilt things, like you would have noticed we have to wait for the arms to open. For those who've had a TM31, that might be a little bit of frustration for you. However, waiting for the arms to unlock means that it's waiting for the blades to stop spinning and the food to stop moving. So that's another safety feature, particularly when you're cooking with hot food. It may take a little bit longer to open because it is waiting for everything to stop moving inside before you open the lid off. So the same thing is going to happen here now. Not only will we be asked to turn the speed selector to speed 5, then gradually increase to speed 10. That's one of the steps. It will also ramp up slowly, just generally with the Thermomix as well. So I'll start turning around to 5 and you'll hear it start slow and then it's going up. And the reason for that is because of the safety feature. So you can hear it's now at that speed. So I'm going to go up a little bit and just keep going that. Now, can you hear me without the Thermomix, or is it too loud? Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you.
Okay, so you would have noticed what I was looking for with the Thermomix for the safety side of things is the rocking. So if I had turned it up to a higher speed and it hadn't got that real rock to it, I would have stopped and let it chop that food down before I went any higher. So you're making sure that it's coping with the chopping of the food that's in there before going up to that next level. Does that make sense? I'm yelling at you all now. Sorry about that. So when it says to go up gradually, you're looking to make sure nothing's happening. If it started really shaking about, it's likely there might have been a bit of food stuck under the blades. All the recipes we cook from Cookie Do are designed, though, that you should be able to go up basically like I did. If you've chopped the veggies like it said to chop them and follow the recipe, it's where you sometimes go a bit rogue. You might have added a different type of veggie like a carrot, which is harder than the capsicum and the zucchini, and it might still be a bit firm. So you just want to keep an eye on it, make sure it's chopping and not rocking and rolling on the bench top. So, and that's it. So what we do next is take the lid off. Look at that creamy lid. Thanks. I guess anyone who's got a TM5 and hasn't had a TM6, look at my great MC staying right in place there, keeping all the mess off my bench. I love that. I don't know how many times my TM5 measuring cup went flying across the room, both at home and at cooking experiences. Oops. Yeah, okay, I've done that. So transfer into serving bowls between bowls and add the steamed zucchini on top and a little bit of cream. So this is the part where I said you don't necessarily need the cream. So I would have added the cashews back when I was blending. But you'll see as I pour, hopefully you can see that on the screen. It's a little bit thin, but it is still a thick, like it's not as thick as some. I'm not going to pour anymore. It's way too much soup. But yeah, you can see in the bowl there, you know, it is a thick-ish soup. So then you get your cream and do your little, oh gosh, drizzle across the top. Now, my cream doesn't look quite like the recipe does here because I'm using pure cream, because pure cream doesn't have any additives and preservatives. When you use a thick, like double cream, it would sit on the top nicely, but I could probably make it look a bit nicer than that. And then any black pepper you want as well. So you can choose to have it in. Like I said before, if you weren't adding the cayenne pepper earlier, you could add that now as well. And go from there. Ta-da!